Hello everybody, this is the Doctor, and in our second episode of 4 typical manga reviews today, we're discussing chapter 779 of One Piece, The Last Fight. And actually, it looks like Luffy was the cover of this week's Shonen Jump, because you can see him leaping off Tokyo Tower on the magazine cover. Everything else is being advertised. Yeah. And speaking of Tokyo Tower, we get a nice little 2-page color spread, which features, among other things, them looking at posters of the Tokyo Tower.
Yep. Yeah, you see, the whole group right there, and a bunny for some reason.
There's always an animal. Actually, bunnies, because you have one by Frankie.
Bunny, I see one I see one next to Frankie.
And then next to Sanji, and then also losing it up with Zoro.
Yeah, I saw the one in the middle first, then the white one, and then there's the one next to Zoro. Where are these bunnies coming from?
They're bunnies. It's amazing. There's only 3.
Oh yeah, you're right. All right, let's go. Let's see. Okay, so we start off with the bottom half of Pika's old stone body,
Just sitting
and it
there.
basically, and then I guess he's going back to his memories where Mihawk asks him, has your sword ever broken? Because basically Zoro's successfully been able to cut Pika without damaging his blade, and it's because Mihawk taught him how to do this by, he's like, in the flashback, Zoro's like, more times than I can count in terms of,
Yeah. In fact,
and chipping.
There's a filler episode about this, actually. I don't know if you ever watched the One Piece filler for this part of it. It's like, I think between Alabasta and Skypiea. They flash back to Zoro when he was actually a bounty hunter. And he showed that he was repeatedly breaking his 2 other swords that before he got, because he had
the one by the one that
Kuina
had,
sword. I forget her.
Yeah.
I forget. I'm got his name, but I can't quite come up with it. Wado Ichimonji.
It's like one of the top 20 swords in the world.
Yeah, basically Wado Ichimonji, the one that he holds in his mouth from Kuina. He's had that one. That one's fine, but the other 2 swords, normal swords, tend to break all the time. And that happened even back then. And also we have the ones that Mihawk they fought. And after that, that's when you got Yubashiri and Kotetsu III. Yeah, Kitetsu III. Then he lost Yubashiri and got it replaced with he has now. I love the part right after this, though, where it's like, Mihawk's something like, had been clad in hockey, that same blade wouldn't have broken. Consider every nick in your blade a blemish on your pride. And all swords shall be, like, I guess, like his. Like, it actually makes me wonder if Mihawk's sword is always hockey infused. The way he says it right here. But the part I love is right... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I mean, like, he also reminds Zoro that he broke one of it. Oh, Zoro reminded him that he broke one of his own... Mihawk broke one of his own swords.
Yep.
Or 2 of them, actually. Or just one.
It was 2, I think. I remember me 2.
Oh, 2.
Because he only had one sword during the Yarlong Park battles.
Yeah, because I remember him breaking 2, but in the manga, the translation says 1, but I'm like,
That might just be translation. Anyway, and then the part I love comes right after this. Was like, pretty much tells him, until you master this, I forbid you from touching alcohol.
And Drake's right in front of him.
Yeah, just like digging the knife in. I think Perona's got a glass too. If you look at her in the flashback.
Doesn't she always have a glass though?
Not really. I've never really known her to be a drinker.
I thought she had something like a lemonade drink, at least. She has something to drink, right? Usually.
Not usually, no.
Oh, she has an umbrella, but I don't know if she has something. Well, I have to go back, but anyway,
and then back in the present, Fujitora confirming that any wounded, but he's told that no, because like any wounded from Pika's pieces flying. Apparently he kept things afloat long enough for them to get people evacuated. He was actually hurt.
Yep. And then everyone's like, "Holy shit, Pika got beat!" And everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, Pika got beat! Woo!" Or for some people's woo, and others like, "Oh my gosh, no!"
Oh,
and he's like,
"Oh, go ahead."
Oh, well, everyone's like, "Holy crap, this guy's really powerful. Like Zoro is like hella strong," and then Bartolome was like foaming from that.
and also like daunting. I was like, and to think he still garps grandson's under. That's like the most common reaction to Zoro. Like he's Luffy's number 2, basically.
Well, leaders aren't necessarily stronger than number 2s, but usually in One Piece they usually are.
Yeah, in One Piece
that's the way Shonen works.
Yeah, in One Piece
that's the way Shonen works in general.
Yeah, in One Piece the TV trope they use there is ass kicking equals authority.
Yeah.
And then right after that, Frankie busts up the Smile Factory. The Tantata's finished.
Yep.
They're all
Seems like
there.
one of the former emperors gonna get pissed off now. So at this point, one way or another, Doflamingo's screwed because now one of the four emperors is gonna be after his ass.
Yeah, well, like I said, they still. That's kind of mentioned here right afterwards. Like after they've actually busted up the place. Rebel is watching from the sidelines. He's pointing out that Pika just got beat. Factory's just been blown to bits. But as long as they've got Monseri on their side, they still got hope. So they haven't figured out about
But they
that part
don't.
yet.
Yeah, but he doesn't. They don't anymore. So he doesn't know that. So he's still screwed. Yeah.
And then that's where
But he's.
yep. Oh, sorry. Oh, real quick
I just
before we
like.
move on. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just like, I like to see his face when he finds out that Manchelli's been rescued.
Yeah, because Doflamingo does not take his plans being derailed very well.
Yeah.
That's been a common thing with him. Also, now, one thing I would mention here, like, you know how in the past you tapped like complained about manga stream that we use for this part, like overdoing the cursing?
Yeah.
I was recently listening to the One Piece podcast, like
Yeah.
and they were openly mocking these translations. Like they were just ripping into them. like
How?
like just like randomly calling these people a dickwad or like we need an extra fuck in there. like right, it's like Kiros and Rebecca are having a family moment. They could probably do an F-bomb in there.
That's funny. Yeah.
And speaking of, we changed scenes to Kiros, Rebecca, and Robin. They're reuniting with Leo and the other Tantata. They're realizing that he's the same toy soldier that was their leader before.
Yep. Damn it! I can't. Rebecca's clothing just like distracts me.
Well, he's a female gladiator. Scantily clad is usually par for the course. In fact, they actually brought that up during the Colosseum. Like they restricted how much you were allowed to wear, at least in terms of armor and weight. And Manceri is getting ready to heal Kiros after his fighting, but he refuses because he knows that her power has a limit. So just save it for when it's more necessary.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder. Yeah. I wonder. Is it like how much you can cry? Because I mean, you can't cry every day
Well,
and every second.
It's not just her tears that do it though.
Blood too.
Remember the whole thing with Jola was like she found out by accident that tears could do it.
Yeah.
They were expecting her to just heal them normally, which is normally what he'd been able to do in the past.
I'm gonna assume it's blood. I hope it's nothing else.
Yeah.
I'm gonna assume.
I'm assuming it's just gonna be like she can heal them just by touching them or something like that.
Yeah, because she actually just like holding out her hand and she's not crying or anything.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, come on, you could. I mean, because I was thinking like, what if she could heal his leg? You know?
Like I said, that depends on just how much of a limit there is to that. Like, if you regrow lost limbs, for example, but you can at least stop the bleeding and heal injuries. Anyway, like I said, Kiros are pretty much like refusing treatment, and if you'd like to use your power, there are countless people across this country that need it more than I do. And then that's when the Manceri and the Tantata are getting their first. Well, Manceri at least is getting her first good look at Dressrosa in Cage.
Yeah, and basically it's a wreck. Everything's been destroyed, and he's like, we got and Kiros is like, we got to return the country back to King Riku, or I mean, he's like, is it going to come back to? Is it going to return to King Riku's hands, or is it going to fall into darkness and despair? As long as Doflamingo basically breathes draws breath, we cannot rest easy. Our hopes now rest with the Circle of Pirates, aka the Straw Hats, Luffy Land, and Long. I like how they keep saying land because of Usopp's lie, even though Usopp admitted that he's lying the entire time.
Yeah, they still keep doing it. Like I think they did that in the anime too. Like in one of the things, like they were cheering for Usopp, they keep calling him Uso Land. He keeps trying to correct them. It's Usopp, Uso Land. He's like, oh, never mind.
Yeah, and then I like how Rebecca still thinks he's Lucy.
Well, I think that's just more like that's just what he knows him.
Yeah. And Luffy, Traffy-kun. He's just Traffy. She's like Traffy. And then she's like, pirates? And then so now we go back to the fight.
Real quick
the main
thing.
fights. Actually,
Real quick thing about Manceri. I don't know about the way they do the little blush stickers they have. They look like they were scribbled on.
well, yeah, because it's to like I think it's what it's to make it. It's because I think it's the Tantatas are like a different type of like species altogether.
Yeah.
So and they're drawn kind of differently than everyone else. They have pointy ear, I mean pointy noses. They're very small. The eyes are actually drawn a little differently. You ever noticed? So yeah, I think it makes sense.
And now we do another transition. This time it looks like, well, they're fighting, and we don't see that
Yeah,
they're on the top floor of the palace, and we transition to below the palace inside one of the towers.
yeah.
That's where Koala is.
Koala, woo! I love koala.
Yeah. She's actually, like I said, things are getting a little hot and heavy for her right now, so she's kind of like hiding out, but she's talking to Saba, who's helping people.
Yep. And he's like, okay, well, basically, they're saying Luffy will be in harm's way, and he's like, okay, I'll be right there.
I'm on
You
my
know,
way.
I'm on my way.
Yeah, it's almost, I can almost see that being like some kind of running gag with him.
And Zoro's like, I don't know. Someone says Zoro. Oh, Usopp says Zoro, give me your hand. I'm fine. Not even a scratch, man. And basically, Usopp like hugs Zoro because basically Zoro saved his life.
Yep.
And everyone was like, "Holy shit, you were awesome, man!" Because honestly, like, who can slash a statue like that? Like, seriously.
Not a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I think we're even getting Zoro or Kinemon and Kanjuro like praising him too.
You know what's scary? How is he still weaker than Mihawk? How is he still not the best swordsman in the world?
Well, we've seen Mihawk do similar feats.
I know, but it's just like holy shit. But it's just like that we see Zoro like do more because Mihawk's only been shown in like flashes. And keep in mind that Shanks used to be able to fight like on par with him too when he had his left hand. So it was like holy shit, how strong are these people? And so basically they said there are two big players left. And yeah, basically because another victor has been decided, and we go back to the Royal Palace first floor. Don.
Yep.
And actually, I just realized this is happening concurrently with what Riolo is saying, because if she said they thought there was three left, which is Treble, Doflamingo, and Bellamy. But then since she said it was two, that actually means that she saw the end of the fight, which is going to happen right now. So
yeah, it's happening concurrently, and you can tell because there's like a slightly different color around the panels. Like, see Luffy standing over Bellamy, and then on the next few panels, like it's slightly darker, and you also see like darker border, like not completely black, but just like different colored enough that you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So basically, Bellamy is basically like trying. He was like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna try to take you with me. I stand a chance of actually being remembered by Doflamingo. And Luffy's like, dude, what's the point of risking your life for a piece of shit like him, you know? And Bellamy's like, well, that's for me to decide because, you know, this is my way of showing my honor and respect, and, you know, this is my way of being a pirate, blah, blah, blah. And Luffy's just like, you know, he's just going to kill you, you know, he's just going to basically throw you away, basically, you know? What she says, said he set you free, but don't you think he's well aware of the fact that you are right here killing yourself trying to beat me? Yeah. And then Bellamy's just crying more and more. And he's like, I respect that man. I'll still be just as sweet if I get acknowledged by him. So, you know, I guess Bellamy is basically stuck in the crossfire between, you know, Doflamingo and basically what's right. And, you know, Luffy's just like, you're a man, aren't you? If you know what that word means, shut your mouth. And, you know, and Bellamy's like, if you know what that word means, shut your mouth and fight. Because Luffy's been getting damaged because he's basically not been fighting back.
Right, he's like actually like taking the blows rather than trying to defend himself.
Ironic, because this is actually what happened the first time they met. He took all the blows.
And actually, yeah, that is kind of ironic if you think about it. Like I said, one thought that came to me, like I don't know if it's more of a just random theory more than anything else. I don't even know if the numbers would line up. I can think of at least one reason why Bellamy would be so obsessed with Doflamingo. I just don't know if the ages would match up. Like, Doflamingo's in like his mid-30s, 40s, somewhere in there. How old is Bellamy?
He was a rookie. He was a rookie when they first met him, so I'm assuming maybe he was a teenager, like maybe 19. So I guess he's 21, 22.
Okay,
you know?
That probably wouldn't work out then. Well, actually, no, it might. I was wondering, like, could it be at all possible that Bellamy is Doflamingo's son?
Yeah, I thought of what you were thinking like literally 5 seconds before you said it.
Yeah,
probably like his bastard or something, right?
most likely. 'Cause, I mean, either Doflamingo is not aware at all of it, or he is aware of it and does not care because he doesn't really seem to hold much stock in blood relatives.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's the one thing that came to my mind that would explain in full detail, like that would really justify why he's so obsessed with this, even though he knows Doflamingo's the wrong guy.
But they do have the same hair color, at least in the anime.
Yeah, and that's Not necessarily a sign of ending, but still, it is something to consider, though.
Yeah. Uh. Yeah. Well, we don't. We maybe that we confirm later on. It would be that. It maybe. Well, then again, is Doflamingo older than we think he is?
I don't know.
Isn't
It's
he?
like I know he's at least in his mid-30s.
Maybe is he in his 40s?
I don't know, could be. Because I know the flashbacks for when he was a child were like somewhere like in the 20, 30 year ago range.
Okay. Okay. Eh, I know 10 years ago was when his brother was still alive, right?
Right, because
Oh no,
that
was
would
it
have been
10
Law.
or 12? Yes, yeah.
Somewhere
Yeah,
within that,
that's
because
10 years
like
law. Well, 10 years ago was when they took over Dressrosa. So I guess a little before that, maybe 12 years ago, was when the whole thing with Law happened. But because he was with them for a couple of years and all that. But yeah, I would say give it an extra 5. I don't know, because he still looked old back then. I mean, it's tricky. We'll see. We'll see how Oda puts it up. He
yeah,
he's probably kept track of the agent.
assuming I'm not like reading too much into it anyway. But then
Well, maybe you could just say he looks like he's like a father figure.
oh,
So
definitely, no question about that. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Um,
And he's like, yeah.
Luffy finishes off Bellamy much like he did the first time they fought, which again, nice little bit of irony and callback. In fact,
Yeah, but oh, you saying?
I just realized there's even a fist imprint.
Yeah. I'll say this though, that Bellamy this time around is different because he actually says thank you, and he calls him his friend or something like that. And so even though he got beat the same way, Bellamy is actually happy about this.
Yeah, it's
At
not
least now
it's not the same shameful curb stop he got the first.
that was just funny. That was just funny.
Oh yeah, I love that.
This one's actually you actually feel sad about this one. Anyway, I wonder what happened to Sarkis.
I don't know. And famous Luffy is just pissed at this point. It just became even more.
Doflamingo!
Doflamingo just cocky as ever. So the beast howled. Come, bring your pitiful self up here. He's in for a rude awakening, isn't he, Law, when he sees your lifeless corpse? Of course, this being One Piece, I'm sure he's not quite that lifeless.
Yeah.
And we won't find that out for a little while, because if you look in the bottom there, it says One Piece will be off next week.
I guess we have to wait for. Oh well, you know what? You gotta wait for the good things, Yeah.
That's usually been Oda's pattern on here. Like he takes a week off to like, do extra research or take extra time to make sure it's quality.
Well, no, but also because he gets sick very often. I mean, they overwork him to death. I mean, you can't be lying.
That or he overworks himself.
Yeah, well, I mean, both, I guess. The mangaka's life is really hard. Like, you're required to work hard. So whether he does it to himself or not, the industry is built that way, which is why it's tough. It's tough. That's why I'm not gonna say that people like Kubo are quote unquote lazy. But again, at the same time, you are competing. It's a competition. It's capitalism. You have to compete with the people in your position. So Oda is still able to produce a shitload of content even with these breaks. Do you notice that?
Yep.
Even with the breaks, he still produces more content.
Yeah, but like I said, one thing that was being noted in the One Piece podcast was like the fact that Goro's chapters came without any such break and was still very good.
Or like the fairy tale thing when no one was talking and still more shit happened.
Yes, that's right. They had a completely silent chapter, no dialogue at all. It's like still more going on than in.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention that Bellamy's basically come to terms, basically thinking to himself, this is my way of doing things, blah blah blah. Whatever. He's down and beat. So 2 left, Trouble and Doflamingo.
Yep.
Okay, at this point, this Doflamingo is like. He's got to think of like I'm screwed because even if I somehow manage to beat everyone, because even Moncelli could heal people at least by a little bit, so he's gonna beat everyone, get back like the two like people who are still like around in his crew, and he has to go against forgot his name,
Kaido.
Kaido. Yeah, Kaido. I don't know why I said last name for some reason. Whatever. Kaido might be after his ass, so yeah, he's screwed at this point.
Well, if he can get in and get the smile factor up and running, and he's still good on that.
Yeah, they're gonna let him do that. He's got to go somewhere else. There's no way he's gonna stay here and do that. Like the citizens have turned against him. There's no way he's gonna be able to do anything at this point.
I don't think he's arrogant enough not to care.
Well, he's gonna have to slaughter them all. At which point, there's nobody working for him anymore. and Sugar's down for the count, right? So they can't be forced to work for him.
Nor can they easily have their at this point either.
Yeah, I
Plus,
mean,
they've also got the Navy to worry about.
yeah, I mean, it's clear that even with people as powerful as Doflamingo, they can't quote unquote control an entire country because remember, Crocodile had to work his ass off to do it. Like he had to go around and do like dirty shit, and like controlling a country is not as easy as just like bulldozing or strong arming people. You got to be tactical about it. So that's why at this point, Doflamingo at this point he's basically in terms of the long term type of thing scale. He's lost. Like at this point, it's just now we want to see Luffy beat his ass, but really, at the Kaido's after it's gonna be after him at this point. So yeah, that's all we can really say about that. Anyway, so that's the end of the chapter. Then we get this fan art where I'm literally staring at Nami's boobs, because
I'm actually more curious about the last one. It looks like a bed made out of One Piece books.
Yeah, I'm also staring at Nico Robin's boobs.
Well, yeah, but that's expected.
Yeah,
especially for a Robin fan like yourself.
Yeah. So yeah, we go, and there's also some more Nami fan art.
So the comments. Oh, go ahead.
The bed, dude. That's such a waste because if you like lay on the bed, you're destroying the paper. I mean, you're destroying the books, aren't you? Because of the weight.
Imagine how tightly packed they are.
Yeah, and how heavy you are too.
Also, I think they're in order too.
Yeah.
Actually,
in order?
Yes.
Man.
Like just at the top row, I can recognize the covers, like by the color of the book.
The books are because there's still gonna be more books coming out, so he's gonna have to change the size of his bed and rearrange everything. It's gonna be a pain. Anyway, so yeah. they talk about the Mihawks just like trolling Zoro.
Like just telling him that he can't have alcohol while drinking wine right in front of him.
Yep. I forgot, was Zoro that big of a drinker?
Zoro?
Yeah, I completely forgot. Is he that big of a drinker?
There's a scene in the Water 7 arc where they get mad at Nami for being late, but then the reason she was late was getting meat and booty in Zoro that they could recover.
Okay.
I mean, the man's a drunk.
I mean, obviously, for like the first half of the series I watched, it was censored, so I can't tell.
Yeah, Nami's the only one. Nami's the only person being able to outdrink him.
Yeah,
that's what happened in Whiskey Peak. I don't know if I think the dub at least skipped 4Kids dub skipped that part.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, but in Whiskey Peak it was like an island of bounty hunters. Their trick was they like pretty much partied them all out. Luffy, Sanji, and Usopp were like drunk or overeating and all ready to go. Nami and Zoro appeared to be like this after a very long drinking contest, but both of them were still sober.
Oh.
Zoro fought 100 plus bounty hunters. Nami robbed them blind.
Well, we at least got two people doing all that shit. So yeah.
Yeah, that's how they met Vivi.
Yep. Anyway, so is that it for One Piece for today?
Thanks.
Wait. With Vivi? By the way, the Vivi thing? Oh no, I actually did see that. No, they didn't skip that part, right?
Oh, I mean, well, I tried to adapt it somehow, but like I said, Whiskey Peak involved Zoro fighting like 100 people at once. Like it had Miss Monday, the big muscular woman. I know they edited out Laboon. I don't know what they did about Whiskey Peak. I'm sure they called it something else.
They probably they kept them. I actually remember that scene. So yeah, they did have that, but they did edit out Laboon.
Yeah.
They went directly from that waterfall thing, whatever, right into that town. So
you know what they called Whiskey Peak in the 4Kids dub? I'm kind of curious now, because there's no way in hell they called it Whiskey Peak.
They probably changed it, which is probably why I think I remember it as a censor type of title. But I think they edited out most of it, but they had no choice but to leave in the Vivi part, considering the Vivi part is really really important.
Yep. Yeah, because Vivi is like a semi-straw hat.
The amount of shit that they edited out is almost like insulting, because like you might as well not have the anime, like just
right. When I first discovered the internet, one of the first things I wound up looking into, like all the censorship they had in Dragon Ball Z's dub, right? That was not much compared to
Dragon Ball.
Well, no, I was gonna say that compared to what we get in One Piece, like where they turn.
Oh yeah, well, yeah.
Like they turn guns into little like hammer things.
Well, yeah, the One Piece dub was extreme, but that's because of 4Kids is like oversensitive about that shit. But at the same time, Dragon Ball's dub had to be censored even more than Dragon Ball Z because it's more sex joke oriented in terms of jokes.
Right.
And in America, sex is like a taboo compared to like violence. Like you know,
Graphic,
as a
deplorable violence, it's okay as long as there's no naughty language.
yeah, but like I remember George R. R. Martin was talking about this. Like, oh yeah, you know, I can draw a guy getting cleaved in half. I can talk. I mean, I can write a guy getting cleaved in half, and that's fine. But the moment the man inserts his penis into someone's vagina, then suddenly everyone gets a shit, you know, crazy. So it's a cultural thing, which is why I think that if you have more sex jokes, there is or you know, you're gonna get more censored than even if you have a lot of violence. Just because we're used to violence, but we're not used to sex. Just because I think it's also a religious type of thing too, because we are a very religious country.
Yeah,
Like,
but we claim to the contrary in cases.
I don't know. America is one of the most religious countries in the world. Like Europe is actually not very religious at all. Very it's borderline almost not religious. Even though it has all these historical landmarks, it's not religious. It's barely religious. Um, and in fact, did you know that a lot of churches, mosques, you know, are getting closed because no one's going to them?
Really?
Yeah, it's just that it's because everyone is quote unquote officially a religious person, but they're not very devout and they're not very diligent, so they don't go to church or they just don't care. And that's the way Europe is, and it's the way we developed it over time. So yeah, America is 10 times more religious than Europe.
I can probably buy that. And so now that you mention it like that.
Yeah, it's just the way we develop and the way we our countries changed over time. Me and my religion professor were talking about. So yeah, we did a lot of research into it, and yeah, so yeah, it's interesting type of fun fact there for you guys. Yeah. All right. So is that about it?
I think we're good on One Piece now. That's it. Hopefully next. Well, not next week, but week after next, we'll get into the actual battle with Doflamingo.
Oh, whoop! You have to do that's finals week for me. Uh, all right. Well, hopefully Lost not dead. I highly doubt it. Probably
Me
like
too. And nothing else he can operate on himself to recover.
yeah. I'm sure that the op fruit can do something about it. So yeah. Anyway, or Mancelli and the op fruit combined.
Well, Mentera is nowhere near there though. So they'd have to actually make a point of getting her.
Well, it's not like yeah. I don't know. Well, I think if she's dead, then she couldn't help him anyway, right?
Yeah, probably not. Not without using the whole sacrifice your life trick.
Wait, there's a sacrificial life trick of hers? Or
Well, apparently, according to according to Jola, apparently strong enough to even get around the restriction of healing only living things.
oh, so but she eventually has to die.
Yeah, like I said, Doflamingo has this thing of people dying for.
Yeah, but there's no way he's gonna die, so
Yeah, exactly.
they're not gonna do that. That's not. It's so rare for One Piece characters to die. So
Yep. I mean, it almost never happened at all until Ace.
yeah, and it was a very big moment, and they're not gonna do that very often. So anyway, yeah, I think that's it for One Piece, right?
Yep. So yeah, go and just take us away.
Bye.
Hey, hello everybody, Z Doctor here. My apologies for some of the audio issues on this batch of videos. I think it was just a result of me tinkering with recording settings for my Let's Play videos. Didn't quite cross over too well to these. I should be able to avoid it going forward though. In the meantime, if you did enjoy our manga reviews despite that, then you can look at our other reviews by clicking the annotation to the Typical Manga Review Master List, or looking in my own playlists on my channel for individual series, One Piece, Inside Mari, Bleach, Akame Got Kill, and Attack on Titan, the whole batch. If you prefer some of the gaming content, then you can check out Let's Plays by either myself or Typical Manga Fan. Right here in the annotation you'll see him playing Star Wars Republic Commando, or you can go to my own Let's Plays of Bleed or Shovel Knight. Yeah. That's it. Otherwise, I hope you all enjoyed. Y'all have a good night, and bye!